Hello and welcome to this lab, which is all around inviting a human into our workflow that we're creating. And we're going to do that by inviting them in using Teams. We've actually got two methods of doing that. So we're going to use the simple method in this video, and then there's an additional module if you're a little bit techie and you want to try out the techie method. So let's crack on and see and get into this. So the document we're going to work from is lab number 8 in your downloads. Follow along or do it yourself, either's cool. I will be talking around various bits of context if you're following along, so do feel free to pause and catch up if you need to. You must have completed labs to get to this point. So the labs around creating the Power Automate desktop flow, the cloud flow, the AI builder model, we're building on top of all of those, so you must have completed those before you attempt this lab. If you get stuck, there is a support button in the bottom right hand corner of every single page. You can access our knowledge base or reach out to us via email or live chat if we are online. So let's have a look and do this. What we're going to do here is we're going to go into our workflow here, and what we're going to do is we're going to go in. So this is from the previous lab that we've just completed with the AI builder. We're going to go in here and we're going to delete, and what we're going to do is we're going to invite a human into the process by sending them a Teams message. Now we click on add action and we're going to use the Teams connector, so we need to search for it. Let's look for Teams, Microsoft Teams, and look at all these actions that are available for Teams. It is quite cool, the amount of integration with Teams. The option we're going to use, the easy option, is post a choice of options as the flowbot to a user. The the advanced option that we're going to do in the bonus lab just after this one is an adaptive card. So we're going to use this action this time, but we'll use adaptive card in the next one. So I'm going to click on post a choice of options as the flowbot to a user. And the options that we are going to send are yes and no. And the recipients, we're going to send it to ourselves. So your whatever your lab user is called in your trial tenant that you've set up. And now we're going to put the message in. So it's good to include some data that was extracted here. So maybe we can say something like invoice from maybe the contact at the bill to has been received, dated and the date. Would you like to approve the amount of, and then the amount. Your text can be totally different, totally up to you, but you get the idea what we're trying to do there. So here we can go new invoice. So this will send a message, a choice of options as the flowbot to a user. It's going to this particular user, which is your user that you've got your tenant created under, and then a custom message, and that will post that option. Now what we want to do is, based on the response from the human, we want to do different things. So let's add an action. And we're going to use a condition, which is a control. It's similar to apply to each that we saw earlier. This is a condition. We click on condition, and this means that we're going to set some conditions here, and if these conditions equate to yes, it's going to go down this channel. If they know, it's going to go down this channel. And what we want to do is look at the option that the user chose here. So in this here, we want to go in choose a value. We want to go look at the selected option. So in dynamic content that's come from this action, we have a piece of data called selected option. Click on that. And we want it to be equal to yes. This is case sensitive, just in case we often get asked that during our courses. This bit here is case sensitive. Now, if that's yes, what we want to do is we want to send it off to Power Automate Desktop. So you've done this before. Power Automate Desktop, run a flow with Power Automate Desktop. Choose your flow, run attended. This time, rather than sending it junk data, we're going to send it the data that was extracted from AI Builder. So we scroll all the way down. So the account is builder. The contact is contact. And the amount is amount. Scroll all the way down, it's total. Pause if you need to catch up on that. But we've done this a couple of times, so you should be able to just zip through that. Then add an action. Now what we want to do is, so the contractor sent the email, it got approved, we've entered it into the finance system. We now want to reply to the contractor and say, we've got your invoice, it's approved, and here's our ID. So what we would do here is we've used send an email, we're going to use reply to an email. So if you hit reply to email v3 Office 365, make sure it's the Office 365, reply to email. Now this doesn't need a from or a to or anything like that. What this actually needs, it needs a message ID. Now an email started this whole thing. It started at the top, the trigger was an email. So we're going to reply to that email that started this workflow. So from when a new email arrives, if we scroll down, you'll see there is message ID. Click on that. And in the body of the email, we're going to say, your invoice is approved with ID number. And then you'll notice here right at the top, you've got invoice ID, which is the invoice that has been scraped from the user interface of that legacy invoicing application. I mean, that's just great magic stuff for me. I love that. You can choose to reply to all or just to the sender. We'll just leave it as it is for that, and that's totally fine. So that's that side of the equation done. Now, what if it's not approved? So just to close the loop and for completeness, we're going to add an action here, and we're going to use the same reply to email. We're going to use the message ID from before. I'm just going to say your invoice has not been approved. Now, obviously, you'd have a nicer email than all of that, but we're just going to prove the concept here. And that's the workflow. So we're going to click on save once you're at this point. So I'm going to open these up so you can catch up if you need to. Run a flow. Reply to email on this side saying it's approved with IT number, PO number. With PO number. And same here. Not been approved. Let's put anything else in. And click on save. And now we want to test it, but we need to do a couple of things to test. First of all, we need to send ourselves an email, of course, but we also need to open up Teams. So if you teams.microsoft.com, make sure you're logged into your trial tenant. Go to teams.microsoft.com and give it a few moments. It does take a while for it to sort itself out. While that's doing that, I'm going to prepare an email. So new message. Send it to myself, send it to your test email. Browse this computer, new invoice, add a subject of new invoice. And we're going to click on send. Going to Teams, usually a pop-up has appeared. No, it hasn't. That's good. So we sent ourselves an email, which is going to start the flow. Let's go to My Flows. Let's go to that page here and click on refresh, and you'll see that flow appear in here. You see it's running. And then we should get this message in Teams once it's done all of its stuff that it needs to do. Get rid of that. So here's the flow bot. It's called Power Automate. Sent a card. So the choice of options has been sent as a card, a pre-built card. I'm just going to click on yes, ask for a comment. We're going to click submit. These comments are available to us if we want to in Power Automate, if we need to do something with them, as well as obviously the response that came back. We're going to minimize that, and now what's going to happen is we're going to see this. We're going to see Power Automate Desktop take over and do its thing in Contoso invoicing. Can take us a few seconds for it to do its thing. Here it goes. And you'll see there the data it's being input is the stuff that we got from that from the invoice, from the image of the invoice, which is pretty neat. Go back here, have a look at this, and this should be complete, succeeded. You can see there, and here is our here's all of the log files that you can explore and have a look at, and here of course is the reply. We've probably got an undeliverable, yep, but what we can do is look in the sent items, and you can see there it is approved with the PO number. So you've just built in this course over 2-3 hours worth of effort, not even that, that's including the rest of the content. You've built a end-to-end invoice processing solution using artificial intelligence, using lots of cool technology. So congratulations if you've got that working. If you haven't got it working, then we are available for support. There's a button, bottom right hand corner of every page, where we have a support base that you can search, or you can contact us through that support chat. Thank you and congratulations if you had that working. If you did, send us a message saying great to hear from you, and stay tuned for the advanced lab where we're going to use adaptive cards.